Right, sir.
Okay, so thanks. It's rather late, but thanks for those who stays back to support each other here. So dearly beloved, we are gathered here today on a Saturday to listen to sob stories. Yeah. Okay, not really. So I'm quite encouraged by all the stories of resilience and grit and perseverance as well. So how many of you are like parents here? Yeah, and when your children are born, you have dreams and hopes of them, having life like everybody else, like a linear life, and that's what I have. I thought I could write a book, but then life throws the different stories at us. The things that I have with everybody else to raise up my kid, like everybody else, completely changed when we lost our first kid, and that was quite devastating. And later on, my wife was expecting again, but then the doctor says your baby is not normal. She has trisomy 21, so that basically means that it's a Down syndrome baby. So that was very tough for first we lost our baby, and at that time I was basically around the world and I was doing secret missions. She didn't know what I was doing for 8 to 10 years. I was basically with United Nations doing rescue and humanitarian missions. So the minister found me familiar because we were together in Afghanistan. Anyway, so and it was very tough bringing up a child with special needs. We decided to keep her because the doctor says you can basically abort the baby, but we think about it and they say this is a gift from God, so we will keep her. And we struggled through for that years, and then 4 years later, we have another child, very cute, bubbly kid. But when he was 4 years old, something happened. He became very withdrawn. He lost his eye contact, so we get him diagnosed, and the doctor says your boy probably had autism. So that was very devastating for ourselves and also for a mom, because first, we lost our kid. Secondly, it was a special need, Down syndrome, and the third kid we have was basically, as the world call it, autistic. She was in a bad state, with every mom, you carry your baby for so long, and then only that to tell you that this kid is going to be different. So life throws us a different book. Everything we have of a typical life with our kid was erased, and we had to rewrite at a time. So I told myself that I have to be back for her because she was going through quite a bad depression at the back. So I said bye, and it was a shock for me to go, for everybody to, and I told them my family matters. So my commanding officer says, I think you better go and be with your family. So when I came back, I was, in places like Afghanistan, Kosovo, fighting a war, but my wife herself was fighting her own war back home. She was fighting her own battle back home. And so we came back and we told ourselves we have to be resilient, we have to change our mindset. I did ask myself questions like, why us? Why must this happen to us? But my wife was very, very adamant, and she was the strong one. Never once did she ask the question, or never once did she question God, why me? It was me who, as a man, I was questioning God, why me? But I was asking the wrong question. When I started asking the right question, like how? What am I supposed to do now? Then things start to change. So I adopt what I learned from the military, from my rescue missions. And every time we go rescue mission, the first thing we do is we have to go with a victim mind. Because if you go with a victim mind, then you're a victim, right? The battle is lost. So we say, we have to get rid of this victimized mindset, and then we have to get on a positive mindset. So with everything else, we started to strategize, and I used what I learned, and I told her, I said, the first thing we do is we have to create an environment for our children to grow up. Because children with special needs, right, they grow up in a very unfriendly world, a world that's not designed for them, very unfriendly world. So we have to create an environment for them. So I says, and then let's make use of our situation awareness, whatever we do, right? It was very tough. A lot of every time my boy melt down, we will get injured. I have to buy boxing glove to basically protect him and protect my family. Not to beat him, but to protect him because he will hit himself. And my wife has injuries, she has like titanium over her face, her head. Yeah, that was quite bad. Yeah, it wasn't that he purposely want to whack, It was basically when he melt down, there was a collision, right? It wasn't intentional. You know the way he fight, it's not like really fight you, it was just all way out. And so that was quite bad. But we go through, and to cut a long story short, I have to learn a lot about her, about them, and things start to get better. My wife starts to get better. I told her, please seek help. So she was on preventative antidepressants medicine, and that helps as well. But now my boy, he's in the music school. He can speak, right? The journey back. He's now quite articulate. He learns how to speak. My daughter is now in the vocational school, so she started to working, and we're very proud of her because she herself knows that she says, hey, I got CPF now, being a special needs kid, I say, I got CPF. So we're very proud of her, right? So they taught us a lot about resilience, about unconditional love, without even saying a word as well. Yeah. So there's always a silver lining. There's always silver lining. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So I wish to encourage that those who are going through adversities, right? There's always hope. And we found community, so now we are also volunteering with MICE, with the Family Inclusion Network, as well with the church. And through this connection, I think we can build Singapore into a society that's more resilient for special needs families and caregivers, but also a society that's quite inclusive in the real action sense, and not just like a word, right? To make sure that these persons with special needs are basically looked after, and that we can make the world a very safe one for them as well. So I hope that this story encourage all. It's just a long story, to cut a long story short, because this is a very tough subject, with person with special needs, right? Because if we talk about the resilience of ourselves, they are the really true resilient one. They are actually trying to survive in a world that's very alien and very unfriendly to them. So I think we should applaud, people with special needs, especially those with intellectual challenges like autism, ADHD as well, and the next time you see, a family struggling, go offer your help, just say, can we help in some way, be friendly, let them know that, Singapore is truly a country that is not just tall in buildings, but also tall in hearts and love, okay? So whatever it is, always be hopeful as well, and to close the speak, when I fly, I used to fly, and the aircraft takes off with all the weight, all the burden, and the only way for the aircraft to take off with all the burden is to take off into the headwind. The heavier the burden, the stronger the headwind. So this is life. Sometimes God has certain, plan for us, and we have to take off into the headwind. With adversities, we get stronger. So I hope that this story will inspire and encourage all of you as well. Thank you for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.